They're the products we all buy and eat, sold as ethical and sustainable. But are we being sold the truth? Four Corners has followed those promises back through the supply chain to cocoa farms in Ghana, fruit farms in Australia, to the workers consumers are never meant to see.
If people knew, they would be horrified.
Is the public being duped?
The public is being duped. They have no idea of this dirty, rotten little secret.
What you're describing is the dark underbelly of the labour market.
Absolutely. And the consumer, honestly, they're none the wiser. Animals are treated better.
It's now been going for quite a long time, and it's spreading.
The further you get away from the farm, the more blind people become.
This is not a story about a few bad farms or rogue contractors. It's about a food system where exploitation is pushed further and further down the supply chain. And by the time the food reaches the shelf, companies can distance themselves from what's really going on. Our investigation starts with chocolate, one of the world's most loved products, a $180 billion a year industry dominated by some of the world's biggest food companies. The labels carry feel-good claims of sustainably sourced cocoa. We travelled to West Africa to see what those promises mean on the ground.
Should get us to Ghana in approximately 8 hours and 25 minutes of my time.
It's here in Ghana where much of the world's chocolate begins. But there's a deep crisis unfolding, one the big corporations would never want you to see.
It's about money, but it's also about power. And the two very, very often go together.
Behind the chocolate bar, behind that delightful treat, is all this human suffering. People without running water, kids without school, people whose future is being ruined just so that we can have this taste of chocolate.
We've travelled more than 2,000 kilometres across remote dirt tracks into Ghana's cocoa-growing heartland, following the crop back to the communities that help supply the chocolate sold in Australian supermarkets. In this cocoa-growing community, families live without running water or nearby healthcare. Open drains run beside makeshift homes. Isifu Isaka represents more than 400,000 cocoa farmers in Ghana, including farmers in this community. He's trying to get farmers out of poverty.
No access to water, no access to health care. So I think companies should support in ensuring that farmers have access to some of these basic social amenities.
It seems like a one-way street.
Yes, you can see the farmers. They are not doing well. They are not doing well. industry that is feeding millions of people, that is generating billions of dollars. And the producers, the originators of this are suffering.
Nathaniel grows cocoa for a living, but cocoa is not giving him enough to live on.
Financially, I'm not good at all. I'm struggling a lot.
Nathaniel says he's certified through the Rainforest Alliance certification scheme. It's represented by the green frog logo found on some of the world's biggest chocolate brands like Nestle and Lindt, and closer to home, Haigh's. The Rainforest Alliance seal indicates the cocoa comes from farms certified to standards aimed at protecting the environment, supporting farmers, and helping address child labour. Farmers who sign up get a small premium on the market rate. But for Nathaniel, his nephews, and some farmers in his community, the benefits are hard to see.
We are working empty. We are working for nothing. At first we work for something, but now you don't work for anything.
How do you feel about what's going on with cocoa?
I feel bad.
Pick up almost any chocolate bar and the promise is often right there on the wrapper. A frog, a seal, a sustainability logo. Each one suggests someone has checked the supply chain and that your purchase is helping farmers, workers and forests. But on the ground in Ghana, that promise quickly falls apart.
Because most of the cocoa farmers are not earning living income if you look at their living condition, and it is very, very unfortunate. We will never rest until we live to see that cocoa farmers are also earning a living income.
A living income means earning enough to cover bare essentials such as food, housing, healthcare. Certification schemes like Rainforest don't guarantee it.
If you are not paying a living income, then by definition, your farmers are in poverty, often extreme poverty.
Most certification schemes, including Rainforest Alliance, rely on a system called mass balance. It means certified cocoa, the cocoa consumers are told supports farmers and communities, can be mixed with uncertified beans. As a result, consumers don't know how much of the cocoa in their chocolate bar actually comes from a certified farm. Etel Higgene is a human rights lawyer who spent years on the ground in West Africa, part of it investigating the cocoa industry.
Mass balance goes to the heart of a huge problem in certification. In mass balance, you can take clean, sustainable, ethical cocoa and mix it with dirty cocoa that has slavery, kids, human trafficking, deforestation, all these ethical, sustainable problems. And at the other end, you put out in bags the cocoa that's all mixed up.
Is the public being duped?
The public is totally being duped. Point of certifications. It's a promise. It's like a social contract. And if the consumer pays more, but the sustainability is not there, you've just broken that contract. It's a betrayal.
Rainforest Alliance said certification alone can't solve complex challenges, but it helped measure progress. It said all major sustainability initiatives use mass balance.
Farmers are in poverty, often extreme poverty.
Most cocoa farmers earn just a few dollars a day, despite producing the key ingredient in chocolate, which earns the big chocolate operators billions. What percentage of farmers do you think are earning the living income?
In Ghana, I think it's less than 5%.
On the edge of a forest, the hardship is confronting. This family relies on rainwater collected in buckets because they have no running water. Using a translator, the farmer tells us they're surviving on a few vegetables growing in the garden. He says his cocoa ends up with chocolate giants like Mondelez, the owner of Cadbury, Toblerone and Milka. Few people have a better understanding of the cocoa industry than Carolyn and Fuzz Kitto. They founded Be Slavery Free, an organisation that has an annual chocolate scorecard and analyses the world's biggest chocolate companies. It gives them access to confidential internal documents. What does it tell you about the reality of the chocolate industry?
I think the reality is there is so much slavery, child labour, forced labour, it all happens there.
We asked Be Slavery Free to crunch the numbers on an $8 block of Cadbury dairy milk sold at supermarkets. They estimate the farmer receives just 72 cents, while the lion's share goes to Cadbury and the supermarkets.
Not only are they the poorest in the supply chain, but they also have the least power in the supply chain. They're the ones that are least able to bargain for price.
At the end of the day, is it greed?
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
is.
is. Yeah.
Well, it's pride and greed. And those two are a deadly, deadly mixture of we want to be seen as doing the best, we want to be seen as good, because that will really affect my bonus, that will really affect our profits, that will really affect our place in the market.
Their modelling estimates an extra 20 cents per block would help farmers living in poverty. Mondelez earned more than $50 billion in revenue last year, with almost $20 billion coming from its chocolate division. Is 20 cents the number that could change their lives?
It would be going a long way towards that.
Could the companies afford to pay the 20 cents?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that money could easily be absorbed. In some companies, it's a rounding error.
It's this poverty cycle that's driving a darker crisis. Child labour. It's one locals deny exists. Child labour. Is that still going on?
They are not involving their children.
So you'd say today there's no children working on farms?
No, not at all.
So you haven't seen any? You go to lots of farms, so you haven't witnessed that?
No.
For more than 2 decades, chocolate companies have promised to end child labour in their supply chains. Child labour isn't simply children helping their families. It's work that keeps them out of school or exposes them to dangerous tasks, like using machetes or spraying chemicals. In Ghana, children are prohibited from working on cocoa farms during school hours or carrying out hazardous tasks. But we obtained recent footage showing both.
I want to show you what's really happening here. I'm a victim of child labour.
While in the country, we connected with an insider who can't be identified for his safety. He wants the world to see the truth, so he filmed these videos for us. In this video filmed in June, Children as young as 10 are working with large machetes in intense heat, clearing undergrowth on a day they should have been at school.
What do you think?
What years?
What do you think? 14. And so what do you think?
30 years.
13 years.
Our insider says they will spend weeks on the farm, earning as little as a couple of CDs an hour, about 25 cents. Not enough for a loaf of bread.
Children trapped in the same cycle I once found myself and endured. Known labor before they have known pencils.
The children were tracked down to a village bearing a sign that says it's a partner community of Mondelez, the company behind Cadbury. The sign says it's also part of Mondelez's Cocoa Life program, which promises to support communities and address child labour. Four Corners has not established whether the farm supplied cocoa to Mondelez.
Now what do you think?
12 years.
12 years. And I was where? 13. Okay.
On another farm, in another area, these 12 and 13-year-olds were filmed during a school day in early June, harvesting the cocoa that ends up in chocolate around the world. These kids are also captured on video working on a school day. This child is 9.
9 years.
9 years.
He and his siblings carry water for a cocoa farmer instead of going to school. Nearby, a teenager in shorts sprays pesticide without protective gear. This is the reality sitting behind some of the industry's sustainability promises. Mondelez said it was deeply concerned about evidence of child labour, saying it prohibits it in its operations. It said it invested $1.4 billion in Cocoa Life to 2030. It says it pays cocoa growers a premium. I'd like to show you a video taken in June of some school children in Ghana.
Wow.
Okay. So now you're saying?
Wow. Yeah.
That kicks it into worst forms of child labour.
Are the companies aware of what's going on?
Yes, they are. Yes, there's no doubt whatsoever they are, because we talk with the companies and they are very, very aware of it.
There's a lot of pressure now on farmers and people on the ground to hide the child labor. So nobody wants to truly fix it, which would require paying a living income price for the farmers and a living wage for the farm workers. If you don't do that, you can't fix child labor.
The cocoa supply chain is long and difficult for consumers to trace. Cocoa beans pass through buying agents, working for government licensed buying companies, then moves to Ghana's state-run cocoa board, then to exporters and global processors, before ending up in a chocolate bar in Australia. With responsibility passing through so many hands, accountability can become blurred. Forensic food scientist Cameron Scadding has spent his career tracing where food comes from and investigating supply chains. Chocolate is a particular concern.
When you go into a supermarket and you access a brand and you have a look at the types of claims that are on the brand, which is sort of the world we operate in, there should be a really, really clear understanding about where that raw material that's gone into that chocolate has come from. So, for example, there's a claim made, I'm 100% sustainably sourced.
He helped get this advertisement removed from a supermarket, which claimed this chocolate bar was 100% sustainable.
My biggest concern is that when we have such an aspirational claim like that, There should be really, really clear transparency back to source. That's absolutely, categorically not the case in chocolate. As a consumer, you engage with this information on pack. How do we make sure that's representative of what's real? Like, what's actually happening behind that supply chain? I think that's the bit that concerns me the most.
They're marketing labels, they're not sustainability labels. They're about making more money for the chocolate companies. They're not about informing the consumer. They're about tricking you into buying their product because you feel that it's okay.
This image that the industry projects of joy, beauty, delight, fun, chefs pouring this luscious melting goo that like makes you want to just dive in like, you know, some sort of Willy Wonka factory fantasy. Oh my God, it's nothing to do with the reality of making cocoa on the ground.
Lindt, Haigh's and Nestlé say they have systems to monitor and reduce child labour risks. All use mass balance. Cocoa is essential to Ghana's economy. Cocoa has helped build global chocolate empires and enrich their shareholders. Yet as we travelled the country, we found poor infrastructure and farmers living below a living income.
The pressure comes from the shareholders of those companies that say, we want more, we want more. And to get that, we want cheaper chocolate because we know that that will sell more, which means we'll get more profits.
The human cost is only part of the story. We've come here near the Ivory Coast border to document the destruction of Ghana's forests to make way for more fertile farms. Kingsley Asante says he legally cleared the land in this forest in 2021 to plant cocoa trees. But illegal forest clearing is rampant. Are more farmers moving into forest areas?
Yeah.
So they're illegal?
Yeah, more yield. Well, when you farm in the forest, you get more yield.
Yeah.
Because that fertile land, the land is very fertile.
In Ghana, we think they've lost around 80% of their forests.
The Ivory Coast has lost almost 90%.
This is an environmental cataclysm. When you eat a chocolate bar, you don't realize this, but the cocoa in there is eating the forest. At the end of the day, all these problems are driven by greed and ignorance. Greed of the companies that are making money off of this system, and ignorance of consumers who need to be able to see and understand what's happening in order for them to be able to speak out and demand something better.
It would be easy to see this as a distant problem, hidden in supply chains on the other side of the world. But a similar model operates here in Australia. This investigation reveals an uncomfortable truth behind the food Australians expect to be cheap, fresh, and always available. That supply depends on workers who are often hidden, temporary, and vulnerable. And when the system breaks down, it's not the companies at the top who pay first, it's the people at the bottom. Across Australia, vulnerable workers help pick and process some of the food we eat. Many are on temporary visas. Some have lost their legal status. Advocates say that makes them easy to exploit, while the food keeps moving to market.
You're talking of folks earning less than $7 an hour.
They suffer wage theft, they suffer intimidation, they're often not paid their superannuation, and they very quickly come to live in fear.
Hundreds of thousands of workers on visas work in Australia's food industry. For many, their ability to work is tied to an employer or strict visa condition, which can make them easier to exploit.
These workers translates to Australia being fed. They produce the food that we unwittingly would be buying off the shelves.
When workers are ripped off, Ken Darchie steps in. After working in conflict-affected regions around the world, he's now on the front line, helping vulnerable migrant workers when the system fails them.
So if the workers are getting around $7 an hour or less, who's making the money?
The producers are making the money, the retailers are making the money.
So they're making the profits on the back of these people?
Absolutely. And that's what makes this a human rights issue.
None of this is new.
Australian Border Force, search warrant, open the front door.
For years, scandal after scandal has exposed the same abuses. Raids uncover shocking conditions. Media investigations reveal exploitation. Parliamentary inquiries document the failures.
Welcome to the inquiry into modern slavery risks faced by temporary migrant workers in rural and regional New South Wales.
Governments react, the reforms make headlines, but the loopholes remain and the scandals keep coming.
For whatever reasons, these issues have been deprioritised. We need to see that change.
But how entrenched is the problem? We went to the Riverina to see how hard it would be to find workers being exploited. We didn't have to look far. At a caravan park in regional New South Wales, we met workers who help pick the fruit and vegetables Australians eat. They came from the Pacific Islands full of hope under Australia's PALM scheme, which allows them to work temporarily for an approved employer.
Now, this lot of group here.
These workers say they left after poor treatment, but under the scheme, they can't simply change employers. Once they leave, they're classed as disengaged, with few legal options to work.
So disengagement becomes that obvious choice, but not understanding that it just amplifies the vulnerability. These are not numbers, they're people's lives. It's families, it's siblings, it's parents impacted. A long road without an exit sign.
For the first time, they are showing their faces. By speaking out, they're risking everything. But they say staying silent is no longer an option.
All these people are picking the fruit that we eat.
The invisible majority, which is just unacceptable. Totally unfair and unacceptable. Unless you speak, who would know? That cycle of suffering will just persist.
It's so sad that we are in this situation.
You'd like to go home?
I'm planning to, but because I don't have enough money or a stable job, so I can save money to go home.
This is where Timothy lives. $280 a week rent for this tiny room. No toilet, no kitchen.
Just only this room, no kitchen.
And I see that you're collecting bottles.
Yeah.
Is that to make money?
Yeah, try to make money.
Timothy says the scheme failed him.
I leave the PALM scheme because a week I can get only 260, 70. How can I help my family at home?
Leaving the scheme made him more vulnerable. He now picks oranges by the bin, making $700 a week in cash for 60 hours work. That's less than $12 an hour, well below the legal minimum rate, no sick leave or super.
It's really hard. I'm coming to Australia, try to make something to aim for my future.
A few doors down in the same caravan park, 3 workers squeeze into this rundown room. It costs them $360 a week. No kitchen, no toilet. Without legal status, they have little choice but to pay inflated cash rents for overcrowded accommodation. Basil says he left the scheme because he was grossly underpaid.
Sometimes we earn 300 to 400, sometimes less than 400.
How many undocumented workers across the country do you think there are?
I think they're in the tens of thousands. So if you're undocumented, essentially you are 100% vulnerable. You're talking of folks earning less than $7 an hour.
Is this akin to modern slavery?
Absolutely, 100%. Words aren't enough to capture just the depth of misery some of these individuals go through.
Rows and rows of oranges. From the sky, it looks picture perfect. But these workers are working in the shadows. They're paid $35 a bin in cash. Fiona Obress says it takes her 3 to 4 hours to fill the bin. If it rains, she earns less. If she gets sick and can't work, she earns nothing.
The fruit is so heavy. From all days, you feel like exhausted during when you finish work. You feel like, oh, you can't work the other day, but what can you do? There is no options. You have to keep going.
Fiona hopes by speaking up about poor conditions and pay, it might lead to change.
What would you say to Australians listening and seeing what's going on here? What would you want to say to them?
We're the same. We're still a human being.
Some of the fruit picked at this farm will go into juice and fruit sold at supermarkets and other retail outlets. Coles and Woolworths say worker exploitation in the horticulture industry is unacceptable, and they have a zero-tolerance approach. Gershom Isaac came from Papua New Guinea chasing the Australian dream, a chance to earn money and get ahead. After he lost his working holiday visa, he drifted into Australia's underground workforce, finding jobs largely through contractors willing to pay cash, then supply those workers to farmers.
The only thing to do to survive is you pick oranges. I get $300 to $400 a week, not much. It's even 40 degrees, you're still hanging there picking oranges, try to do as much as you can, and it's not easy. It's sometimes you fall from those trees.
How would you describe your life?
My life is at the moment, at some point I feel like suicide. Suicidal thoughts comes in. Because it's hard. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. I don't have any voice. I don't have any power. Every power, so every choice is with the contractor. They are the ones that make all those decisions. And the biggest, they have no choice, but they have to say yes to everything. We are the 21st century slavery. We don't have proper accommodations. We just live day by day. And the amount of things that we do to survive it's inhumane. And I think we need to look into it.
Australia's growing reliance on temporary migrant workers to help feed Australia has spawned a booming labour hire industry. They recruit workers, then place them with employers for a fee. Some states introduced labour hire licensing schemes to crack down on dodgy operators. But states including New South Wales and Western Australia have not.
In New South Wales, we have no labour hire licensing. There's no barrier to entry for any person to come and set up a labour hire company. So we have opened the door to crooks from New South Wales, from further afield in Australia, even from overseas, to come into that space and provide labour hire services in ways that rely on criminal methods and that amount, in some cases, we believe, to modern slavery offences.
It's wild. It's an environment that's totally unregulated. And so you can just run wild and do whatever it is that you think would suit you profitably. And that's what's happening.
Last week, the Fair Work Ombudsman and 2 other agencies went to 15 farms, most of them growing citrus fruit in the Riverina in New South Wales, as part of a crackdown on rogue labour hire companies. Fair Work's previous investigations into fruit and veg farms paint an alarming picture. In the Mornington Peninsula and Yarra Valley, it found 83% of growers and labour hire companies it inspected were breaking workplace laws, including underpaying workers. In the Riverina, 72%. And in Coffs Harbour, famous for its beaches and farmlands, it was 61%. We travelled to Coffs Harbour, the centre of Australia's blueberry industry, where one former worker kept a detailed record of what happened to him.
How would you describe Coffs Harbour?
It's a very bad place. I wasn't being treated like a human being there. I was treated more like an animal.
Jin Lee came to Australia on a working holiday visa and needed regional farm work to extend his stay. He says long hours in the sun and exposure to pesticides left him with a skin condition.
The things I was seeing was definitely not legal. I would be there from 7:30 in the morning to 5 p.m. And I would be paid $20 that day. Some of us got diapers because they didn't provide bathroom breaks. We basically had to pay everything by ourselves out of pocket because they just wouldn't provide any equipment or anything for us.
The labour hire company that recruited him, ECW Farming, made various deductions to his pay.
We were paying $150 for the accommodation a week.
What was the accommodation like?
It had 18 people crammed inside of that house. Each room had 4 beds as they call them, and it was just mattresses that they took apart. So one room had children's bunk beds. So obviously not very comfortable for adults to sleep in. There were roaches everywhere. There were broken doors, broken windows, and the air conditioning unit was broken. So it's not a habitable place. Also, they charged us a transportation fee.
And how much was that a day?
That was about $10 a day. One of them was held together by rope, and one of the workers would have to hold the doors closed so that it doesn't open while we were on the road.
Were the pay slips legitimate?
No. The only thing that the pay slips did was show how much we were paid. It never showed us the days that we worked, never showed us the award, never showed us the time that we worked. We were definitely not being paid enough, and we were working these awful conditions while they were just loading the trucks with blueberries and then heading off.
We wanted to track down the labour hire company that hired Jin, but it was impossible to trace. Its registered address was a backpackers hostel that denies any link. Four Corners can reveal Fair Work investigated ECW in 2024 after a series of worker tip-offs, but closed the case in May 2025, saying it couldn't identify the controlling minds behind the operation. For Jin, that is part of the problem. The workers are easy to find. The people profiting from them are not.
What would you like Australians to know what's going on?
This shouldn't be happening in 2026, but it still is. Modern slavery is definitely happening, and it is happening in the Coffs Harbour area.
Jin's isn't an isolated case. A Japanese backpacker on a working holiday visa took this photo at a blueberry farm. He says that after a tip-off that Fair Work inspectors were coming, cars and workers were hidden and the gates locked. James Cocaine has a detailed understanding of modern slavery in Australia and what's happening in regional towns like Coffs Harbour.
I've visited a number of these places. Frankly, there's no other way to describe some of them than hovels. People living on top of each other with substandard sanitation, substandard fresh air, often cockroach infestations, and being charged through the nose for these kinds of services.
From what you've seen and what you've heard, do you believe some of the farms that are using these labour hire companies know what's going on?
Yes. The labour hire syndicates rely on acquiescence by farmers, producers, and the companies that they sell on to, not to ask too many questions. It is quite clear many people know quite a lot about the way these workers are being treated. There have been numerous reports about concerns around the labour hire syndicates to local councils, to local police, and to federal actors, but none of those actors have been successful in disrupting this system.
I know for a fact that if the farmers know a regulatory body is coming, they just get the workers in the cars and go and hide them. So when somebody turns up, there's nobody there. There's no pickers, there's no pruners, there's nothing to be seen. So they can hide the evidence just like that.
Raywin Mackey lives close to blueberry farms in Nambucca Valley, just south of Coffs Harbour.
I became more and more aware of the migrant workers, how many there were, and hearing all the things about them and seeing it with my own eyes.
She documents everything, often meeting migrant workers at a local op shop.
You keep diary notes and evidence.
Yep, if I meet a worker who's told me something, I write it down. I just write everything down. Names, dates, places, people, properties, addresses.
What sort of things are they telling you?
Dreadful working conditions, grossly underpaid, no pay slips. The pay can vary from day to day. They work sometimes 10 plus hours. In summer it's pretty grim. There's not much shade on the farms. There's little sanitation. It makes me angry. It makes me sad. It makes me sick to the stomach. Excuse me.
She has made various reports to councils, police and regulators, hoping they will investigate.
It's head banging. I just kind of think that everything boils down to industry and government are not interested. They're not interested. Because otherwise it would have changed. It's not just happening here, it's happening all over the country, which you well know.
all of the agencies are responding to the mandate and resources that they've been given. Each of them is holding a different part of the problem, a different part of the elephant, if we can think of it that way. The challenge is to see the elephant as a whole and how it operates, because these syndicates are very deliberate and intentional, and right now our agencies are not working together in a trauma-informed and strategically intelligent way to see that big picture.
It's best to have one person responsible and not divided regulators with different views and priorities.
Successive governments have promised to crack down on worker exploitation. A Modern Slavery Act was introduced, wage theft criminalised, and anti-slavery commissioners appointed. But some of those reforms were never backed by strong enforcement powers. The Anti-Slavery Commissioner is not a regulator. Like his federal counterpart, James Cocaine's role is advisory, not enforcement. If you had investigative powers, would it make your role more effective?
It might, but I don't have investigative powers. That's the parameters I've been given and that I accepted when I took the role.
Would you like them?
It's not on the table at the moment.
Is the Modern Slavery Act fit for purpose?
The Modern Slavery Act at the federal level, when it was brought in 8 years ago, was world-leading legislation. But the world has evolved, and these days we are playing catch-up.
The Modern Slavery Act requires large companies to file a modern slavery report each year, identifying the modern slavery risks in their operations and supply chains, and what they're doing to address them. Four Corners ran code which analysed hundreds of these documents from 50 food companies across the last 5 years to 2025. What we found was troubling. 1 in 4 companies recycled more than 80% of their previous year's statement. Ferrero went even further, filing the exact same report 2 years in a row, even leaving the previous year's date unchanged. Coles and Woolworths removed references to cocoa risks in their recent reports, despite selling chocolate including their own brands. Others watered down their promises year to year. Ferrero said its 2024 report remained valid for 2025. Coles said its reports were not intended to be an exhaustive list of modern slavery risks, and Woolworths said it took a risk prioritisation approach in its supply chain.
You have one new message. Hi, Adele. It's Alan Fells here. Thanks for your email. Yes, happy to meet up and chat. I can do Thursday.
Professor Alan Fells has dedicated a lot of time to the plight of migrant workers. He oversaw fixing the 7-Eleven wage fraud scandal and later authored a landmark report into modern slavery. He says the system is set up to fail. How would you describe the Modern Slavery Act?
It's a symbolic, tokenistic law. It's the sort of law you pass when you want to look as if you're concerned about something, but you don't intend anything to happen. And I hear from many people there's still huge amounts of underpayment and gross exploitation in the Australian economy.
So there was a review of the Modern Slavery Act, and it said it found no hard evidence the Act had yet led to meaningful change for people living in modern slavery. What does that tell you?
The report spells out what's obvious to regulators like me, that the law was never intended to be associated with any real action. It's just a law you put on the books as a sign of concern, but with no intent to take serious action.
Deliberate wage theft has been criminalised for 18 months now, yet there have been no referrals for prosecution. Does that surprise you?
It's an indication that the government, the regulators are not fully serious about this law.
In June, the Trump administration put Australia on notice, accusing it of failing to stop goods made with forced labour entering the country. It threatened to impose a 12.5% tariff on Australian exports. The Prime Minister's response was unequivocal.
Australia has robust, comprehensive and world-leading legislation addressing forced labour and modern slavery.
What do you think of that?
Sorry, Prime Minister, you're wrong. Donald Trump is right. I thought I'd never say that.
But on this, he is correct.
On this one, Donald Trump is correct, and the Prime Minister is wrong. We do not have robust, comprehensive, world-leading legislation. Compared with other countries that take it much more seriously, we are a laggard.
The US has laws to block imports linked to forced labour. In 2021, it banned products from China's Xinjiang on forced labour concerns. Australia has none of this.
Australian Labor Party, in its last election manifesto, national platform, said that it would look at bringing in such a ban. The current draft doesn't have that reference to considering an import ban. And I think the answer as to why the Australian government is not moving in that direction is very straightforward and is very clear. Our major trading partner is China, and any such import ban would clearly have very significant implications for the way we do business with China.
Our earlier investigation showed why Australia's lack of a forced labour import ban matters. We asked forensic scientists at Source Certain to analyse hundreds of processed tomato products and test whether they came from Australia or Italy, as their labels claimed. 1 in 4 products had a problem. Those that failed came from China, with half linked to Xinjiang.
The issue with Xinjiang is globally it is recognised as a region that is subject to or susceptible to forced labour.
The lab results come at a difficult time for the government. On July 24, the Trump administration imposed a 12.5% tariff on Australian goods, saying Australia had failed to effectively stop imports made with forced labour.
This morning, new tariffs targeting countries accused of benefiting from forced labour are officially in place.
We asked the Prime Minister for an interview, but he declined. The Attorney General, whose department administers the Modern Slavery Act, said Australia had robust modern slavery laws and plans to introduce new criminal and civil penalties. Details are yet to be released. Australia's supermarkets are often the final stop before these products reach consumers.
Do the supermarkets have clean hands in this?
Supermarkets have both a legal and a moral and ethical duty to avoid putting on their shelves products of slave labour or being misleading in any way.
No, they are complicit in the sense that there must be structures in place that question the entire supply chain. And in the event there are suspicions that it's compromised, there needs to be action.
From cocoa farms in Ghana to exploited workers in Australia, we found cheap and vulnerable labour built into the cost of everyday food. The harm is kept at arm's length. The responsibility is passed down the chain. And the people paying the real price are the ones consumers are never meant to see.
Well, someone needs to talk about this. So I'm here and I'm talking about it because otherwise this will go, this might go under the radar for many more years.
I've been working in this space for nearly 25 years, and my first response is always I just can't believe that this is still happening.
In a country like Australia, we shouldn't have slave-like practices. We shouldn't have gross exploitation.
Every human being has to be treated with respect and with dignity. They are the ones that go out every morning to feed Australia, and Australian government does not recognize them. They have put their soul on the line, and Australian government doesn't look into their crime, their pain.
If this program has raised concerns for you, you can contact one of these services.